All right, I got some good information here. Today I'm working on a 2009 Toyota Corolla with a 1.8 liter engine, and the transmission is a U341. It's a front wheel drive 4-speed transmission. So the customer brings the car in and check engine light is on. I have code P2757, which is TCC solenoid performance. Okay, so just reading the meaning of the code, TCC solenoid performance, that is a mechanical code. Okay, so being the fact that it's a mechanical code, we're looking at problems possibly such as torque converter, pump bushing, stator bushing, valve body, solenoid, stuff like that, all within the transmission. All right, and the information I'm going to give you now goes the same for a 2009 Pontiac Vibe, because that's basically a Toyota gear train. All right, and as far as I know, this problem may just be particular to 2009, because the research that I'm doing since we found out what's going on with this thing, I'm really not seeing anything for like 2010, but we're going to talk about the car we have here, which is an 09 Corolla, because it goes for that, and it also goes for the 2009 Pontiac Vibe. So we got a 2757 TCC performance. So what does that mean? That means that the computer sees the converter slipping. All right, so again, it could be what I just mentioned. But with this particular car, 2009, that is, the transmission is not the problem. The computer is the problem. All right, so what's going on with this thing, and I'm going to drive it with the voltmeter on it. I'm not going to put the scanner on it because I can tell by voltage what's going on when the lockup gets commanded on and when it does not get commanded on. Okay, so what's going on with this thing is there's a problem with the computer, and the SLU solenoid is not basically being turned on all the way to clamp this converter down. All right, it's getting turned on for partial lockup, or what's called flex lockup. That's when the converter is kind of like just being dragged on, but it's not really getting fully applied. So the computer is seeing a slip. All right, so this is what the computer looks like. And it's located underneath. On this one, it is the engine compartment. It's pretty accessible, left side towards the back. I mean, it's sticking up, two connectors going into it, you can't miss it. All right, and the positive, the SLU solenoid, which is a lockup solenoid, TCC solenoid, has two wires going to it, the positive and the negative. And that's what the voltmeter is attached to at the computer. Okay, so pin number 57 is the positive, and that is also pin number 4 at the connector, which is a white wire. And pin number 77 at the computer is the negative, and that is pin number 9 at the connector, the transmission connector, and that is a blue wire. Okay, so what we want to see is when we start driving, we hook it up, we're not going to have any voltage. Okay, when it goes into partial lockup, we want to see 3.5 volts. Okay, partial lockup, or lockup flex as they call it with Toyota and Lexus. The Pontiac Vibe did not use flex lockup. It's either on at 0 volts, I'm sorry, it's off at 0 volts, or it's on, which is, I'm going to tell you the voltage in a moment, because I just want to explain to you how the flex lockup works. Okay, so you can have a voltmeter, you can have a scan tool. Okay, that's what I was using, both of them, while the car was being driven. All right, so on a scan tool, it reads SLU solenoid off. I believe that was the PID. And another thing that we did, so you don't have a bunch of PIDs, which is parameter identification, on the scan tool, we customized the data list, so we just have 3 or 4 of them on, and these things work much faster, more real time. I want to see what's going on in conjunction with the voltmeter. Okay, so I'm watching a scan tool, watching a voltmeter while the car is being driven. Okay, so we're driving along, and it's up to, it's ramping up 2.5 volts, 3.5 volts, but the lockup is still showing off on the scan tool. Okay, so it's in lockup flex, but it's not on. Okay, when the lockup is fully on, the pin's gonna change from off to on. All right, so we're driving along, it's at 3.5 volts. We're driving, we're getting up there, maybe hitting about 40 miles an hour. All of a sudden, on the scan tool, it changes from off to on. You look at the voltmeter. At that point, the voltmeter should go from 3.5 volts, it should ramp up to 7 volts. Okay, that's when the converter is fully locked on. All right, but it's only ramping up to 4 volts, maybe 4.2. So we're only, when the thing is turning on, it's only going up a half a volt, or 0.7 of a volt, not a full volt. And it should go to 7 volts. It should go it should go up another 3.5 volts, but it's only going up a half a volt. All right, when we were driving this thing at 70 on the Parkway, the highest it got was 4.5 volts, but it was just there, and then it dropped back down to 4. But still, that is not correct. And when you're, just to give you some information on a Pontiac Vibe, it's at 0 volts. They do not use lockup flex, so when it is commanded on, it's going to ramp up to 7 volts. Okay, this again is going to be at 3.5 volts, and it's still going to read lockup off on the scan tool. Once it goes to on, the computer commands it on, boom, it should hit 7 volts. We're getting 4. That is no good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to, I have everything wired up. I'm going to put the scan tool on, not the scan tool, I'm going to put the voltmeter on it because I got to drive this thing and, kind of let you guys watch the voltage to see what's going on. And when you drive the car, it feels okay. I'm watching the drop in RPM, like the converter is coming on, but it's coming on, but it is slipping because it's not getting fully clamped on, but I'm seeing the drop in RPM. All that looks normal, but it's no good. So, I'm doing research on this thing, and you're reading stories of people overhauling the transmission. It's coming back with the same problem. So they're redoing the bushings in the pump and in the stator. They're putting another converter. They're doing valve bodies, and it's still all the same problem. And as far as I know, this goes to 2009 Corolla with the 1.8, 2009 Pontiac Vibe with the 1.8. So we got the VIN number. We had called Toyota. They got the computer in stock. I mean, what does that tell you right there, that these things are a problem? So what I'm going to do now, it's after hours, everything is put away. I do have the car inside, so I'm going to back it out, get everything ready, and we're going to drive it so you can actually see what's going on the, with the camera. I'm going to hold it up to the voltmeter. We kind of got it tucked in, right inside the window there. So I'm going to drive it with the windows closed and stuff like that. So I'm hoping, the new computer, the dealer is telling me that it may have to be programmed, which is fine, because I'll get my programmer here to do it. And then I'm hoping I can drive this car again to show you that this thing should ramp up to 7 volts. And that we know that it'll completely locked on and the code should not return. All right, so let me get set up, and we're going to drive the car with the voltmeter on it so you can see what's going on, and I'll narrate it as it's going along. You'll see 2.5 volts, 3.5 volts, which is flex lockup, and on the scan tool it still reads lockup off, and then as soon as it switches to on, that thing should jump up, but you're going to see it's only going to about 4.2 volts. All right, so I'm going to get set up, and I'll see you in the car. Okay, so I'm going to wait for this thing to go and flex lockup and then be commanded on. Okay. All right, there we go. Just commanded on. Now that should at least go to 7 volts.
steady on the gas here, doing about 50. You don't get really much more than 4 volts here. Okay, gotta slow down, coming to a red light. Alright, so I just wanted to show you that, what's going on, and we're gonna head back to the shop. I just want to give you a shot of the ECU, which is under the hood, left side of engine compartment. See, I got my got the leads back probed in there.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a follow-up on this 2009 Toyota Corolla with this 2757 code. So my diagnosis was a bad computer. As you've seen with the voltmeter, the voltage was not what it's supposed to be at full lockup, which should be 7 volts. It was 4 volts. So we get the okay to do the job. As I said, Toyota has the computer in stock. We actually ran over to get the computer ourselves. We get it back here, and you know, everybody's saying it has to be programmed. So we said, oh, what the heck, let's bring the car in, because we had a few minutes, and let's plug the computer in and see what happens. It's either gonna start or it's not gonna start. So we plug everything in, just, you know, kind of laid it across the top. We didn't put anything in place yet, and the car started right up. So as we're backing out, the check engine light pops on. We get our scanner out, scan it, and it's the code pertaining to like a VIN mismatch. So we're navigating around the scan tool, and we get to functional test to see if there's anything we can do with the scan tool. And there actually is, under functional test, a VIN, I think it said like VIN read and VIN rewrite. So we can actually do that through the snap-on scan tool, and then whatever else we have to do, you know, we just got to follow the prompts and enter the VIN into the computer, and then that should take care of the check engine light. So while the new computer was hooked up, we did take it for a ride because I want to make sure that, you know, this thing is okay. And it was the same thing, flex lockup. We had 3.5 volts. The computer's, the scan tool, I should say, still said that lockup was off, and as soon as that lockup switched to on, that went up and it hit 7 volts. When previously, as you saw on the voltmeter, when lockup went on, that went up and hit 4 volts. And you can pretty much, you know, when you're driving the car and you're watching the tach, it does seem like the lockup is functioning properly. And then as soon as this thing shut up to 7 volts, it just felt a little different if you kind of know what to look for. So we went on a parkway and everything with it, and it was great. So the only thing we got to do now is just enter the VIN, get rid of the check engine light, and as soon as it gets a little lighter in a couple hours, I have everything hooked up, and we're going to take it for a ride. And you can see once this thing is commanded on, that's going to go up to like 6.87 volts. So everything is good with that. That car should be fixed. And again, that's specifically for the research that I've done, specifically for 2009 Toyota Corolla with a 1.8 with the U341, and also a Pontiac Vibe, which is like on has a Toyota gear train. Also 2009 with a 1.8. All right, and that is code 2757, which is TCC solenoid performance. Now, again, this is a mechanical code. 2759 is an electrical code, but it's not producing that one. 2757, so, you know, again, you're going to think it's, hey, converter, solenoid, you know, valve body, but I guess, you know, it's not clamping it on tight enough, and it's seeing it slip, and it's producing that code. So just, you know, be careful with that 2009. So again, when it gets a little lighter, we will take it for a ride, and you'll see the difference in voltage. All right, so I'll see you in a little bit.
So before we went going past 4 volts, let's see what we got now. All right, we're looking good here. I gotta slow down, but as you can see, we are okay. The lockup is working the way it should now on this 2009 Toyota Corolla with the 1.8 U341 trans. It is a fix. Thanks for watching and have a great day.